have the Panda mug this morning. We have 2 versions of the Panda mug this morning. And we're doing Cafe La Llave.
Cafe La Llave comes in a little green bag.
Via the Bialetti.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So.
Mocha machine, yep. Mm-hmm. Made in many sizes.
It was so good.
And by many companies, actually, but Bialetti is the actual company name of the one that I have. Yep. And it seems to make really good coffee, no matter what kind of coffee I put in it.
Mm-hmm.
I think the only time it didn't make decent
deeper?
coffee... Yeah. The only time it didn't make decent coffee was when I put a fairly coarse ground medium roast in it, or light roast in it one time, and it was almost as if the flow of water from the bottom up into the top was too quick, and it didn't soak the grounds long enough or something. But all of the espresso grade grounds have always made really good coffee. Anything really fine ground always makes really good coffee.
I think I probably prefer this the most. For, like, the Seattle's Best Post Alley, I like for the drip.
Mm-hmm.
Because I can even drink that black and it doesn't bother me.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I'm trying to set Chad up here. For the pour over, because I don't typically do the pour over, because it doesn't drain out the cholesterol. You need kind of a paper filter for that.
Mm-hmm.
My hair's being weird today. For the Bialetti, though, I think I like this one the best. Mm-hmm. This one's tasted the best.
Mm-hmm.
And we had just the mocha creamer.
Yeah.
And very little sugar.
It's just coffee mocha creamer. Yeah. Like chocolate really creamer.
Tasty. Very good stuff. So we're going to kind of change things up a little bit. We're on episode 23, and I think we're going to go to episode 30 and kind of reevaluate. Not that we don't want to do the podcast. We just may not do the same podcast or change things up. I'm not sure. So as of today, we're going to include... not that we're running out of books, but we're going to start including more, more D&D related stuff, because I like hearing him review some of the new modules that are independent modules and different things that come out. I would love to hear more about that, and I know you have a few that you've bought that are independent stuff, or original stuff that's reincarnated, like this one, and
there's a few of the fifth edition ones that I've bought as they've come out, because they're more nostalgia than anything else, like Curse of Strahd. Ravenloft has always been like, something that's near and dear to people my age and people who played D&D when it was still first, second edition. And I played this one that I'll be reviewing today when I was 11. It was what my dungeon master ran me through first, although I didn't know it at the time until I realized that this had a particular area in it, and I was like, that's the same map. And I was like, oh. And it dawned on me that I bought this book and was like, blind thinking it was something different, and it was the same thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was.
But you were happy with it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well,
so
it's still. Here's the cool thing.
Yeah, I was saying, go ahead.
I'll get to this actually.
Go ahead and just do it. Jump in.
This is a joy.
Dun dun dun.
This is Into the Borderlands. In old editions, in a much thinner volume, this was called Keep on the Borderlands. Many of you who have played first and second edition may remember what this is. This is something that Goodman Games has reprinted. Goodman Games are the group that makes Dungeon Crawl Classics, which I believe I've reviewed on this channel also. And they have adapted it also for 5th edition. So there's a 5th edition version of Keep on the Borderlands in this book, and there is the original text in this book of keep on the borderlands,
And
including
it's beautifully done. They have margins.
including the original maps and everything. That is the keep on the borderlands, right there.
It's a thing of beauty.
And yeah, there's some beautiful stuff there. But I got to a particular map in this book, and it just kind of, there was a revelation, and I was like, oh, that's the same map that my friend Anthony was using for the Caves of Chaos, as many of you may have heard it called before.
I like the glossary.
So it was just really a joy to realize that that's what I had acquired.
Just looking at this, I like tips to players. There's a glossary in here, which is fantastic. I love this. They provide a draw your own floor plan thing. That obviously I would photocopy. I would never write in the book.
Oh yeah, no,
but,
I wouldn't be drawing in that.
As previously an architectural design major, the fact that they have a glossary on all of the, a key or a legend on
nice little
all
floor
the different
plans there of things.
Scale
complete
and
with furniture and doors and
your little
everything.
key to what each one means and that kind of thing. There's an NPC chart with their stats, which is awesome. I like this. I like this quite a bit.
They've made many of these. They've made a lot of the retro ones, including Temple of Elemental Evil, has been made into a version of this, completely adapted for 5th edition, and it has the original text of the old school version in this book, in all of those editions, if I remember correctly, because they basically took the existing material from the old version, and then they ruleified it for 5th edition.
Yeah, I really like
by
this.
creating a completely new campaign inside the book. So you're getting essentially 2 for 1. These run about anywhere between $35 and $65 usually on Amazon. Temple of Elemental Evil is a very big one, and it tends to be a little more expensive. This one I think I picked up for about $30 or $35 when I bought it. So
Love
and many of you may recognize
the end pages.
one of these maps in blue, I can't remember which one it is the Caves of Chaos. Not that one. That's the lower level under the keep.
I love their ad.
Yes. Yeah.
The very old school kung fu kinda
Yep.
kinda look to it.
There
Is there another one in the front?
right there.
That's the case.
That's the one that most people will recognize. That is the Caves of Chaos. So many of you may know that from your childhood, junior high or high school probably, of playing the Caves of Chaos.
It's got an article on the Discovering the Caves of Chaos. It's got interviews in here.
Mike
Good
Carr.
Games interviews with Mike Carr. In Search of the Unknown, the original publication.
Mm-hmm. That is the original module of the keep of Into the Unknown, complete with its
And they've got an
floor
homage
plan
to
and
that
everything.
kind of on the back with the mushroom cave and everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, it's very nice, nicely
And
done.
hefty,
Oh yeah.
as most of his books are. Includes commentary by Mike Merrills, Luke Gygax, and Mike Carr.
Who is Gary Gygax's son.
Mm-hmm.
Gary Gygax's son. So.
Very cool.
Yep.
So I will hand that back over.
I'll just set that
And you can,
here for
and
now.
it's big enough you can beat your plays with it.
Yep.
No! You're not a rules lawyer.
The only rules lawyer at the table is me, right?
Yeah.
The next one that I have here is just a sci-fi novel. This is a Neil Stephenson book. This is called Cryptonomicon. If you like ciphers and World War II history and treasure hunts and financial intrigue, this book might be interesting. It is, however,
1,152 pages.
Something that will take you a while. Neil Stephenson is notorious for writing longer novels, especially after Snow Crash, which was, I believe, his first novel. And sometimes his...
Hacker Hemingway.
The Hacker Hemingway, that's what they call him.
Love it.
Yep. But there are code breakers and code makers in this book. There are. He actually goes into the how of some of the coding, and some of the cryptography in here, which is interesting if it's something you're interested in. It's not something. It makes my eyes glaze over, so it's not really something I have dove into yet. But
imagine Tom Clancy turning to cyberpunk.
Pretty much. I've read several Tom Clancy, and that sounds pretty accurate.
I love the dedication to S-Town Stevenson, who flew kites from battleships.
That's amazing.
Awesome. Oh, that's interesting. It says Bruce Schneider invented solitaire, graciously consented to my use of it in this novel, and wrote the appendix. Ian Goldberg, who wrote the Pearl script that appears in Enoch Root's email message to Randy. That's the acknowledgments. That's kind of cool.
Wow.
And then there's a quote by Alan Turing.
Alan Turing. Mm-hmm.
Love it.
Yeah.
Ever since I saw Imitation Game and learned about Alan Turing, I probably one of my favorite Cumberbatch roles. Mm-hmm. And a really good movie if you haven't seen it. It's Imitation Game. Incredibly fascinating story. I really enjoyed it. Heartbreaking, but this is Alan Turing's quote here is, "There is a remarkably close parallel between the problems of the physicist and those of the cryptographer. The system on which a message is enciphered corresponds to the laws of the universe. The intercepted messages to the evidence available, the keys for a day, or a message to important constants which have to be determined. The correspondence is very close, but the subject matter of cryptography is very easily dealt with by discrete machinery, physics not so easily." But I have to say the font is tiny. Yes. Which means this book was probably double the size and could have been probably made into a trilogy.
Yeah, well, it says right on the back of the book. It says right
pages.
On the back of the book that this was actually 3 novels.
Oh, yes, it was.
So
really 3 novels in one, featuring healthy portions of World War II adventure, cryptography, and high-tech finance, with treasure hunting thrown in for good measure, but that's only half of it. Mm-hmm. That's USA Today.
Yep.
So I'm gonna add this one to my reading list, I think. Well, I am a sucker for.
Well, if you want to hang on to it, you can. But I mean, I have no intention of actually reading it. I have a
stack
because it just kind of hurts my brain.
But. Oh. Okay, I may steal it from you then. At some point, we can put it on the regular bookshelf.
Yeah.
For me to dig through for the next time I'm.
Sure.
Reading.
Or even if you just open it up and check it out.
I'm trying to finish it.
I mean, even if you open it up and check it out and it's something that doesn't really interest you.
I hadn't read any of.
You haven't wasted more than a few minutes, but
yeah. In worst case, we can gift it, because I know a few people that would be interested in it. The one I just picked up is health related, by Uma Naidu, nutritional psychiatrist at Harvard Medical School, and this was at the recommendation of my friend Julia. I am working on stuff that will help combat ADD, because I've had a problem with brain fog really bad with, on top of the normal ADD stuff that I self-manage from COVID. So when we had COVID last year, the fatigue was the killer. That was the big beast. This year, when we got it in January, and I keep switching. I'm like, you'll see me look over here, and then I'll pick up on the fact that the camera's over here, and I'm constantly tracking back over here. So sorry, but I probably ought to. I could probably just flip the iPad, so since I'm looking over here all the time, just flip it. But Julia recommended this, and has had good luck with this book with other stuff. My biggest things this year are the brain fog and being more focused with the ADD, and then also inflammation is a big killer, and gut health. So we've kind of shifted our focus to gut health, and this is this book. It says, "This is your brain on food, an indispensable guide to the surprising foods that fight depression, PTSD, ADHD, anxiety, OCD, and more." So it's broken down into specific categories. Stuff for anxiety, dementia, and brain fog, which mentions microgreens, rosemary, and the mind diet. So microgreens we already do and need to do more often. Rosemary I love, but we have to do it in limited quantities because it can actually counteract his epilepsy medicine.
In large quantities.
Yeah, in large quantities.
I don't need it, you do.
Yeah. So it goes into bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, insomnia, fatigue. The big thing for me that I've found is cross-referencing. Like right now I'm looking at different medications for type 2 diabetes, and whether or not the caffeine affects blood sugar levels, and getting some other things under control. And there's a lot of mixed medical information. My sources are Mayo Clinic, Johns Hopkins, Cleveland Clinic, and a lot of the European research, because the European research has saved me with the lymphedema. So, but a lot of times cross-referencing gets left out, and I think that's key, because there's, not even just prescription interactions or anything. Like I had something, I was doing a probiotic, and the medical industry will tell you the side effects, but they don't tell you how to counteract them. They just prescribe more medicine. And the problem is when you take a probiotic, if there's a massive die-off, then you have to feed the probiotic, first of all. If the die-off is too fast, that's when you get sick, and that's when those side effects kick in. So if you're doing a probiotic and it starts giving you issues and making you sick, the die-off is too high, get milk thistle and take milk thistle, because that feeds it and counteracts that. So I took milk thistle. The first time I was prescribed this stuff, I got sick and I couldn't take it. The next time, years later, that I, had this information and I was prescribed it, I took the milk thistle, had no issues whatsoever. And I didn't even continue to take it. I just took it the one time, because it was a one time a week medicine that I had to take.
Once a
which
week.
I'm glad, because it was a horse pill. But this one's got, recipes, and it's not a diet. It's, a lifestyle change, I've learned that you need to look at what you can have, not what you can't have. Because if you focus on what you can't have, you won't follow through with it. So if you look at and explore all the stuff that you can do, then it actually gets fun, because, you can start experimenting and everything else. But, it goes into alcohol, sugar, and then it goes into different stuff like red wine, saffron, fenugreek, pistachios, and other nuts, which I can't have, with the exception of peanuts, because they're a legume, they grow on the ground. Tree nuts I can't have, and coconut is not a tree nut. Coconut is related to grass, which I missed out on the really good coconut Girl Scout cookies my whole career as a Girl Scout because I thought I was allergic to it. So a couple of years ago, I was able to have, a few years ago, found out I was able to have it and had my first Girl Scout cookie with the coconut. It was so good. Which was bad because now that's one more thing I shouldn't eat.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
but it goes into turmeric. It doesn't nearly enough touch on turmeric. They actually go into it for a couple of pages. No, one page. There's a whole page. Black pepper and cinnamon.
And I
It says
remember
black pepper and cinnamon are two spices that can reverse decline in thinking ability. And turmeric requires black pepper, which I knew that, but turmeric requires black pepper to activate. So, good morning, aggressively. How are you doing? So, we went over a D&D book that you'll have to kick back on the front.
Hold that back up again.
So, it's 5e rules and some of the...
it's the original module,
yeah,
too.
the original module.
They're both in here.
Updated.
So, if you remember playing the old one, too, it's in here, too. So, if that's the version of D&D that you're used to running, there are first edition rules with the first edition module. And I'm pretty sure there's even a monster section back here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, with some of the monsters that you would run in this scenario. So it's very well done. It's written by Goodman Games. And the other book, of course, was Cryptonomicon by Neil Stevenson. So,
and then we were talking about this one. We're going to kind of shift things to, we're going to include more D&D modules. Because there's a lot of independent modules that are coming out. My daughter and I are actually working each on our own. She has a ton of stuff for her. She's working on the maps. She's got insignias for different things. Gorgeous artwork. Not even being biased. It's just, she's nailed it on a lot of things. It's really cool. Super busy, but looking for something cool to listen to while at work. Awesome. Yeah, we've had some of the videos. We're on episode 23 now. We've had some of the videos get a few views. We've had some get more. So I'm going through to look and see what we've had the best luck with. I'm going to start doing graphics for it. Because I've been just, putting in photos for the thumbnails. And D&D modules.
Which I am looking at
Board
acquiring
games.
Others. I do have several that are actual 5th edition books. These are actually made by Goodman Games for a game called Dungeon Crawl Classics that's made by Goodman Games.
Yeah.
But
that's one of the YouTube videos you watch, right?
What?
Dungeon Crawl? Do they have a
Dungeon Crawl Classics is a
podcast?
book that I've reviewed on this channel. Goodman Games is the publisher that that makes it, that creates it, that puts it together.
You found out about it though through somebody's podcast.
Dungeon Craft.
Dungeon Craft. Okay.
Dungeon Craft. Yeah, Professor Dungeon Master on YouTube. Yep.
So we're gonna hit more the games, the board games, the D&D, my design projects, of course, some books, and just kind of change things up a little bit to see. I don't know. I might see if there's a way I can post a poll on YouTube to try and get.
You should be able to,
going.
yeah.
But
I vote on stuff for people's channels all the time down in the comments.
okay.
There's a way for you to assemble a vote and let people vote on the options or comment on it with their own options.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would
You
be
should
good.
be able to do that.
That would be good.
Although I'm not sure if that's a subscription thing or if that's I have a channel so I can do it thing.
You might. I don't know if you have the control to override it if it's a membership thing. I'll look.
Yeah, not sure.
Worst case, I can post it on my regular social media,
Or on
Twitter or
Patreon
something.
or somewhere.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there.
But we're planning on going to episode 30, so 7 more episodes after this, and reevaluate. and kind of make some changes starting today going forward to see how that goes. But I know we've had friends that have given us feedback, but they don't leave the feedback on YouTube. They'll leave it in my Discord channel or somewhere else. So I don't know. I want to find out, how we can engage everybody more and kind of find our niche, if that makes sense. But as far as personal projects, I'm really, really loving this coffee. So I revamped my business cards. I'm super happy with how they turned out. Vistaprint always takes care of me. So the old ones, I'm going to hide the phone number on here. So my old ones look like this. So it has one of my surface patterns. Under my name it says Instigational Motivator. And then on the back it has all my info here. Unfortunately, because of the iPad, it's backwards, but it's basically got my site link, my Patreon link, my Amazon, and my podcast. And then social media and Facebook and Twitter and that kind of thing. So the new one, which I absolutely love how it turned out. I did the round corners again, and I did the soft touch, so they're like silky smooth. I got one of my emojis, one of my emotes from Twitch on here. And I love how bright white they turned out. And the back, the color turned out gorgeous. So, paper, pattern, publish, and percolate. Because I do play Muse. I actually have a Muse level on my Patreon. I have one person at that level right now. Where I do consulting work on a monthly basis. And pattern, of course, surface pattern design. Paper, I do a lot of paper art. Which I'm going to show you one of the things we did on Twitch last night. And percolate would be the brainstorming and the playing Muse. So, and then publish, obviously, for the books and stuff. So, this guy was created... I did a little owl on Val's original business cards, and his nickname became Studious. So, Studious the Owl has had several incarnations.
It's on my Christmas stocking.
This is absolutely my favorite version of him, and he's actually become an emote on my Twitch channel with the word hoot above his head that Val uses a lot. And I made greeting cards at some point for Valentine's? I think it was Valentine's Day. That were cutouts, so it's actually the character itself. So this is a paper doll mock-up for a plush toy, and I made him last night on Twitch. So if you want to watch me draw and set this up and learn how to set up a paper doll, this is what I did. And I came up with the idea of doing a second layer just on the front portion for just to add some depth. The wings are going to be floppy, the legs are going to be floppy on the plush toy, but the rest of him is going to be stuffed. This part up here will probably be floppy. I'm going to have to kind of prototype it out of fabric and see what happens. But I print my fabric through Spoonflower, which is a company based in North Carolina, and depending, they either do digital process, or I've seen them actually silkscreen and pull inked prints on the fabric, which is really cool and very old school. But I absolutely adore this incarnation of Studious, and I have had way too much fun with him, so we made him last night. And this is one of the other... I gotta stitch this guy up. This one's on canvas, but this is the basic idea, is printing them out on Spoonflower to make them into plushie dolls. So Studious will be a plushie doll, along with the Yeti, my Moon Rabbit which this one's going to be a flip inside out one, because there's a day version and a night version for this rabbit in Clementine's garden. So the ears are not going to be stuffed. The ears are just going to be sewn back to back. And then the legs and the arms are going to be stitched and just double-sided fabric. They're going to remain floppy. And so the head and the body are going to be stuffed. So this is sport lycra, so it's very cool to the touch and soft, and it's going to be super floppy, which is what I want. Floppy, cuddly toys. But I like this version of doing plush toys because you don't have to worry about buttons or anything kids can get their mouth or pull off or anything like that. And if you're making stuff at home, it's way easier. We did, one of my people on Patreon, or one of my people on Twitch last night had mentioned a company called Budsies, where you can actually get custom plush toys made. It's about $200 to prototype one, and then for them to make more, she priced it out, and it was like $2,700 for 20. So it works out to about $135 per stuffed animal, and there's no way. If it was $200, it works out to about $15. I'd buy them all day long and retail them, but I can't do it for that price. So I am looking to license those designs, or looking for a company that can make them high quality but cheaper, and unfortunately you have to kind of go overseas for that. So I'm trying not to go overseas for that, but there's, I've got a friend locally that's a doll maker who I love her quality of work, that I may approach to see if she can at least make me a prototype for these.
I remember who you were talking about. Yep.
Yeah, Teresa Webb with Worker.
I wasn't going to say
Worker
anything.
Bee,
but
yeah, Worker Bee Designs, or Worker Bee Studios, or Designs. Worker Bee. Here in Berea, who is an absolute sweetheart. Her and her daughter are friends of ours, and so I'm kind of hoping that I can pay her, because I would rather support somebody local, especially a friend that I can, get them to do it and give them more work. But I know she's slammed usually with her own design, so I don't know that I could get her to do it on a regular basis. But prototyping it, I definitely, would rather give her the money than send it off to somewhere. But I'm working on a catalog. Did I bring it out here?
Don't know.
I don't think I brought it out here.
I don't know what it is.
I don't know. Prototype for my catalog. Yes, I did. So, two of the other things that we worked on yesterday morning, so last night was Studious, and yesterday morning was prototyping a possum education zine, because there's a Possum Fest coming up locally. This is the first education zine that I did in this format. This one was on hummingbirds, and so I'm going to be offering this as a teacher resource, and it's also got a little drawing guide, and I'm going to be making them more consistent. Like the back plate on this is what's going to be on all of them, so I'm going to change this up. I don't have the inside done on this one yet, and that is actually one of my fonts that I actually created, so I'm leaning toward using my own fonts. I'll be more consistent. I'm going to change this border to look like this, probably have him moved over a little bit so he overlays like this one does, and that's going to be the new back. So working on more education zines, putting together a catalog, because I'm picking up wholesale stockists now. I've picked up 4 this year, and I have another one hopefully that I'm going to be doing. So this is the catalog cover. I'm actually going to upgrade the lettering a little bit. This is just the rough draft. This is holy basil, Tulsi, which has different meanings and was the first plant that was gifted to me when we moved to Kentucky. Rainbow gifted me this. A friend of mine worked for a nursery and they were closing down the nursery for vacation or for time of year, and she had some plants left over that they were giving away, so I got some Tulsi, which was awesome. And the, what was it, the lemon basil? Lemon thyme?
I don't remember what it was.
There was something
It's been
else.
6 years.
Yeah, there was
almost,
something else.
Lemon.
I want to say it was lemon thyme
Yeah.
or something like that that we used that was super tasty. So playing around with the lettering, and again, this is the mock-up. So for that, so I'm going to go in and actually do the professional work and vectorize. I should have, or will have, because I need to get back to work, the rest of my work. I will have a new desktop PC later on, late April. So I won't be on the iPad anymore. We'll have the actual camera set up again, which will be nice. And trying to think of some other stuff. Live at the Wolf, which is the live drawing event at the local game store, Bad Wolf Gaming here in Berea, is going to start April 9th from 1 to 5. And hopefully if Issa has off work, Issa has a new job, has a new apartment. She's going to be moving here in a couple of weeks. We're going to definitely be collaborating and doing stuff together, and she's 2 miles from here. So it'll be great, but she's going to go supernova. I know that she's got a lot of opportunities coming up, and I'm actually going to sign a professional level contract with her for her to illustrate one of my children's books this year. We're working on that. My original storyboards and everything went missing when we moved, and so I've had to kind of recreate it from memory, which means I'm redoing the whole thing because I don't remember. Once it's down on paper and with the brain fog and the ADD, it's gone. I don't remember it, so so I'm having to recreate that. But she's gonna work on that. She has her own projects. She's gonna start live streaming at some point once we get her set up with internet and everything over at her new apartment. She gets that going. But lots of good things coming from all of us, actually. And I'm looking forward to sharing everything with everybody. My next live stream is going to be Saturday at noon on Twitch, Eastern Standard Time. And I'm going to be doing probably some more prototyping for either one of the tunnel books or setting up stuff for a gallery show that I might be able to hang over at the Berea Arts Council. I'm talking to them about that. There is a folding party if you are local to Berea. There is a folding party for the Doves for Ukraine project tonight from 6 to 9. Val and I will both be on hand there. I will have the stickers for the fundraising for the returning Peace Corps volunteers, RPCV, Alliance for the Ukraine, and World Central Kitchen, who is feeding everybody at the borders. They've done over 1 million meals so far, last count, probably double that since then. And the Peace Corps volunteers are doing fundraising for first aid kits for over there. So all the 100% of the proceeds for any of the stickers goes to that. I'm working on getting enamel pins of the logo made up. I've already gotten a quote, which was actually pretty decent. It was under 300 for 1,000. So, or excuse me, for 100. I wish it was 1,000 for 100. But so that's not bad. But when I get those are going to sell for $10 a piece, with 100% of the funds going to those charities as well. And I am starting a zine fest for later this year. I am scouting locations currently, looking at possibly August to start it, but it's going to be the Kentucky Zine Expo. So if you like zines, if you love zines, if you create zines, drop me a note. I am looking for zines from all over. I may actually take some from outside and sell them to people if they wholesale. So let me know, and hopefully there'll be a couple of workshops, and we'll get that going here soon. I'm looking to add a few people to a committee to help me plan the whole thing. So we will hopefully see you next Thursday for our next Nerdcast. My live stream again is 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, noon on Saturday. We'll be doing some more doll prototyping or tunnel book prototyping or the gallery show. I'm not sure what we're going to do yet. I'll see where I'm at with my other projects, and we appreciate you for being here. Stay well, stay safe. Enjoy your day at work aggressively. Hopefully your day goes smoothly, and we will talk to y'all later. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.